All right, welcome back to another week of What It Takes to Be a Rock Star. If you're watching this, the light looks really weird. I'm in a random hotel room in Sweden right now, and I'm making do with what I have. And after being in the car for like 10 hours today, I feel crazy. I look crazy, but everything's going great. I'm finishing up the tour with Tea Eater right now. I've been playing bass in Europe with Teeter. Has been an awesome, super fun tour. But after this tour, three of us in Teeter, we're gonna fly to the West Coast in the US and do a 2 week tour with our other band, Gustav. So we're gonna be doing dates opening up for the band Dead, Dehd, until mid-November. So check out the tour dates. I'll link them in the description of the show. And I hope to see you out there. But yeah, anyway, this week I'm really excited because I'm chatting with my friend Ozzy, who is actually the leader of this nonprofit organization in New York called Showbrain. And Showbrain's super cool. They've been putting on some really awesome shows the past couple years, and they weren't on my radar until last year when I met Ozzy. He was playing drums for the band Shred Flintstone during a cassette tape release show that I threw. And yeah, immediately he came up after the show and was like, "Hey, I'm putting on these shows at the New York City parks, and if your band ever wants to play, like I could hook it up." And it was just, I don't know, it was just really legit sounding. And I actually was seeing some of my friends' bands playing these shows, so I kind of put two and two together and realized, oh, this is the guy who's making that all happen. And yeah, I ended up playing some of those shows and they were super awesome. Great sound system. Everyone's playing in the New York City parks. It's all legit, it's all permitted. So I wanted to talk to Ozzy to see like why he started doing this, how he's doing this, like yeah, everything behind it because now he has a team and volunteers and it's really super cool. And also on top of that, he is a musician. He drums in a ton of bands. He's like always filling in for a bunch of bands that he books. And yeah, he's just very legit, has it all together. So I wanted to see how he was doing it all. So I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. And here we go. I want you to tell people like who you are, what you do, why, we're gonna get into the why you do it and all that stuff. But I just want like who's Ozzy? Who the heck is Ozzy?
Yeah. Well, I'll go back. My name is Ozzy. I'll start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Born and raised in New York City. Very grateful for that. It's taught me a lot being here about adversity and determination and grit, and just kind of moving forward when you fall down. I'm a drummer. My first instrument was guitar actually, and then I switched to drums, so that I could join a band to go on tour. When all I knew how to play was air drums, so I was at the right place at the right time. So I switched to drums when I was like 18. I've been slowly integrating myself in the music scene in New York City since then. Um, Very grateful to play with various artists. I used to play in a band called In Circles, and that band opened up a lot of doors for me, and that's actually what started off Showbrain. So yeah, in short, I'm a drummer, I'm a musician, I'm a cat owner. Let me put this guy down before
Hey.
cat papa. Yeah, drummer, musician, uh, lover of all sorts of arts and music, and yeah, I love organizing events. I love playing and having the opportunity to perform with different artists. Yeah, I guess that's a short bio there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I wanted you to do it because people know themselves better. And then I was like, you know what? You got a lot going on.
Yeah. That
Like,
said, I actually forgot to mention I'm also a small business owner, so there's that.
really? What
Yeah.
business?
So I do well, Showbrain is a nonprofit, so that's on the books. And then I also have an online clothing sale company, Ozzy's Apparel. So sell
Okay,
clothes online. And yeah.
amazing. All right, cool. So how I met you was through playing. I think the first time we met was when we played Alphaville together, right? And you were playing
That's right.
drums in Shred Flintstone. And the first thing that stuck out was that you brought like a ton of drums with you. and you were like, "Hey, I know, there you might want to like switch out a drum, so you can use anything of mine." And then you switched out to your tom, I think your floor tom, and it was like way better, and I was really, really grateful.
Yeah, yeah,
And then afterwards, you were like, "Hey, I've been setting up these shows at this park. Maybe your band would want to play at the park someday." And then I kind of put two and two together because I was starting to see some videos of bands just randomly playing in the parks in New York. And I was like, "Oh, you're the person who's
yeah,
doing that." And it made me really excited because you were like, "Yeah, it's super legit." You were like, it's all good. Like you got permits and stuff, right? You were like, "I'm doing this." And then B, you're just able to glue like so many pieces of the scene together through this organization. And I just want to hear a little bit about like how that idea came about to start Showbrain, and like why you decided to do it, and like how the heck you went about making it all happen and making it legit, because I feel like a lot of people like want to do something like that, but they don't know how to even begin.
yeah, yeah, totally. I'll start from what spawned the idea. So I'm sure you know, 2020, 2021, a lot of venues were closed. A lot of venues didn't even come back. Businesses shuttered their doors. 2020, I didn't play music at all. 2021, my old band in Circles, we started replaying again. And after not playing for a whole year, and venues were still closed. People were still kind of afraid to go to venues. It was a very polarizing thing where people were saying, stay out of venues, go to venues. So there was that whole divisive part of it, which was a bummer. And I remember walking through Washington Square Park and Tompkins Square Park and seeing these guitarists jam. And I'm like, what are they plugged into? And I see them plugged into these little batteries, particularly this brand called Jackery. And I'm like, huh, interesting. And then I saw it again at Tompkins. I'm like, and I saw someone with a small drum kit. I'm like, this is interesting. And again, remember, all venues are closed. So this is like, for a lot of people, this is their first time hearing any sort of live music um, outside of venues in over a year. So I had this conversation with our singer Julia. I said, "Hey, trust me on this. Let's do a small setup. Let's go to Union Square. Let's just find random places to set up shop and play." And we went to Union Square, and it was a hit. We probably played like over 60 times, like 2, 3 times a week. And I will say maybe like 2 or 3 times did the cops come up to us and they were like, "You guys got to stop." And even at that, they were like, "We hate to be the buzzkill, and you guys are so good, but you gotta stop." And I'm like, "Can we play like 1 or 2 more songs?" They're like, "Yeah, go for it." So they were like super duper chill about it. And so that's like what started the idea of playing outdoors. And then this was 2021, yeah, and then into 2022, um, I said, "Hey, why don't we get park permits and start making this more legit things and try to invite our friends?" And we started this thing called In Circles and Friends. That's like the precursor to Showbrain. We did
Oh.
that for most of 2022. We did like maybe like 4 shows, and it was really rough because we didn't have a lot of equipment. We had to like convince people to like come with their car and let us bring in some of their equipment and our equipment and share. And it was this whole thing. But we made it work and it was fun. And again, there was still this excitement where a lot of people were not going to venues and not seeing any shows. And people would come up to us at Union Square and at these parks and say, "Oh my gosh, I haven't heard music in so long. I need this." It was like almost a cathartic, religious kind of thing. Um,
Wow.
so that spawned the idea. And then at the end of 2022, I realized I was doing most of the work. Like I was booking all the bands. I was slowly acquiring equipment, coordinating, getting the permits and this and that. And I said, okay, I'm gonna change this from In Circles and Friends to Showbrain. It was between the name Showbrain and Third Sun, and I went with Showbrain just because it sounds a little wacky, and I like being
Mhm.
uh, so yeah, at the end of 22, the last show we did was technically a show brain event, but it wasn't until 2023 that I got us on the books before the spring, early that year as a nonprofit. Raised a little bit of money, worked very hard, sold equipment, bought equipment, slowly just upgraded the stuff because the equipment that we were playing with through before was crazy. Like we didn't even have monitors. We were using this. I don't know if you've ever seen this suitcase PA system by Fender. It's called a Passport, like, folds into itself. You gotta check it out. Like, if you dig far enough in the internet, you'll see these videos, but and I'm very thankful of the early bands that played with us because our equipment was not the best, but the fun was there. Like, people were coming out, so it was like, despite the equipment not being top notch, it was still so fun and exciting, and it was, we're grateful to be in a city like New York City where we could pull something off like that. Like Tompkins, you can have a great band and people come out, but no matter what, whether you have a good draw, you're organically gonna get people who are walking through the parks and just stopping like, "Whoa, what's this?" And then next thing you know, that band has new fans, Showbrain has new followers, and the cycle goes on and on. So, yeah, to digress, the idea started from in circles, just busking, essentially, and
Well,
yeah, rest was history.
was it complicated for you to go get, become a nonprofit and get the permits? Like, what was that all
Yeah,
what did
all
that
right, I should
entail?
touch on that.
Yeah.
So for the permits, it's not so hard. The harder thing is the logistics, and I'll get into the permit side of things first. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just apply through the city to the Parks Department website, and there's a parks permit involved, and then there's a sound permit through the NYPD. If you're gonna have any electronic instruments, or like PA systems for that matter. As far as the nonprofit side of things, it was a lot easier than I thought. I did use like a third party service called Swift to just like get the red tape stuff done for me, so it was, like, a pretty cheap price, I think it was, like, a couple $100. But it was pretty easy. With this stuff, I've been learning as I go. Like, for a
Yeah.
while, I didn't know we were tax exempt, so I applied for that, I was like, "Wait a second, the state owes me so much money." I got hundreds of dollars back, actually over, like, a couple of
Oh,
thousand. That went right back into Showbrain and paying the artists and buying equipment and stuff we needed for the
wow.
logistics. So the permit side is not so hard for the shows. It's really just organizing, reaching out to the bands, renting a van, uh, just like organizational aspect of it, the equipment and whatnot, promotion. The permit side is a breeze. And registering the business, yeah, that again, it was a third party service. So it wasn't too hard. I know there's people out there who've done it themselves and they mail it out and they save a few $100 not paying a third party service, but I ain't got time for that. I got
Yeah.
done.
Well, yeah, you wanna make sure it's all right too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah, I'm just, like, so curious because you make it sound so simple, kind of. You're just like, "Yeah, just do this, and I'm gonna do that," and I have some other friends a lot like you, but I'm just so curious, like, where that comes from. Like, do you even have any idea of, like, why you're like this? Is it because you've been running a small business before, so you're just, like, good at this stuff? Or, like, have you always been like this? Or?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think a big chunk of what makes me a hard worker is my mom. Um, my mom, although my father was still in my life, my mom and my dad separated when I was like 8 years old. They had a good relationship, just things didn't work out. But something that I noticed from my mom at an early age was that she was such a hard worker. Like she really was. And like I learned a lot about saving money, whether it was through coupons or just like putting money away that translated to who I am today to run a business, and just try to save money wherever possible. But she was always a hard worker. She had determination and grit. Um, she just always, her and my father always just supported me in what I wanted to do, whether that was playing guitar, to get educated, whether that was going through school or not, just educate yourself. So a lot of it has to do with my mom. I got a lot of my hard work ethic through her. Uh, Also, I think something that I mentioned earlier, I believe that growing up in New York City, like whether it's for good or bad, you kind of have to hustle in a lot of ways. So I've always, ever since I was like 13, like I had my first job at 13 and I always knew like, okay, this is my money. I need to pay my own phone bill when I'm 15, 16. I need money for lunch and whatnot. So that always like gave me the independence and just kind of confidence that I needed in myself to know like, okay, if I work hard, I can get what I need to, where I need to get to. So I don't realize I make things sound easy. I just kinda it's organically just the way I am naturally. I like to get things done. I think I have also ADD. So no, I think I definitely have. So that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of different reasons why I am the way I am. So like I just my mind's always going. I'm thinking of ideas and always thinking of how to make a process better or more efficient. The wheels are always turning. So it's for a lot of reasons the way I am, in terms of just kind of getting things done.
Yeah. It's cool. I like it. Can you talk about a little bit, like drums? Like when you made the switch from guitar to drums and like how old you were in your first shows and like why you got so into music that like you're spending all this time and effort booking bands now and everything and playing in a million bands as a fill-in all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so what got me into drums, so I had drumsticks when I was like 11, 10. So I was always like air drumming. I never had a drum kit. I didn't get a drum kit until I was like 22. But when I was 16, my old high school band called Offset, before the rapper Offset existed, uh, my old high school band, we had mutual friends of a band in the scene called Team Spider, and they actually used to play Tompkins a lot. And we played shows together, so we were already buddy buddy. And they had a tour lined up, and I was at the right place at the right time. One day, I'm riding my bike in the city, and I run into the singer, and we're chit chatting. And I think I was 17 at the time, and he says to me they have a tour lined up, and they're looking for a drummer, because the drummer was in a freak accident. The tour's like a month away, and it was a tour in London. And I was like, I
Wow.
play drums. I definitely did not
In
play
the
drums.
air.
Like, I could kinda hold a beat, um, and I knew their songs from seeing them live, so I at least had the format down. It was really fun. It was like a punk ska band, and, I told him I played drums. We had a few jams. I guess I was good enough, really, like, it's cringe watching some of those early videos, but that was a pivot point for me. I was like, "Yeah, I could do this." So I faked it until I made it. We went on tour to Europe. It was amazing. It was incredible. Um, and that's what got me into drums. But I didn't really take drums seriously until I joined uh my old band in Circles, and that was a long time ago. That was like 2014. And that's when I started taking drums seriously. So that's when I consider myself that's when I consider that I started playing drums. Um, that's when I got my first drum kit. That's when I learned the rudiments and whatnot. So that's what got me into drums, just faking it to making, taking advantage of an opportunity. I wanted to go to London. I went to Europe rather. Um, so that's what started that. And then like the promotion side of things and organizing, again, going in 2021 when we had this idea, the like at the core of it, I wanted to have fun when it came to doing these shows. I wanted to have a party. I wanted to invite all these bands. That's why we called it In Circles and Friends. We just wanted to have our friends and jam, and we wanted to make new friends. And it was hard to sell the vision at first. Like, hey, come to the park. Like to bands that we didn't know, we want to put on the show in the park. It's gonna be great. It's a hard sell, but thankfully some listened to us. But then it was easier to sell to our friends who knew us and saw what we were doing. But yeah, at the core of it, even to today with Showbrain, despite all the work and all the organization, at the end of the day, I want to make it a good time for the artists. I want them to be able to hear themselves through the equipment. I want the stuff to sound good. I want them to look badass in the videos that our video person Katie edits. Everything about Showbrain is just about having fun, despite all the hard work and sometimes you deal with the New York City grit and you deal with the crazies out there. Um, there's a lot of benefit from it, so I'm just trying to party with all the bands and have a fun time.
Well, that's
Did
exactly
I
what it
answer that
feels like.
second part of the question?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Yeah, that was great. I think that's what definitely sticks out about Showbrain is that like you also play music and so you know exactly what bands would want and what bands
Yeah,
would need. And so like you're on both sides of it. So it's like, yeah, an awesome sound system, an awesome sound person, awesome videos, a built-in crowd or just, random people walking through the street. Like it's everything bands would want. And then it's like everyone's just making friends with everyone. And
yeah,
that's why I tell people all the time, I'm like, Showbrain is like you're like a glue, like literally a glue for all these bands because it's like something that could bring everyone together on a Saturday in the park,
yeah,
in the summer, people just want to be outside. It's like Yeah, it's just really, really cool, and that's why I wanted, like, people to hear about it more, because it's just it's making bands happy, and it's yeah.
Totally. And if I can touch on something you mentioned there
Yeah.
and, something I didn't bring up, it's that, yeah, having the perspective of being a musician and, it's awesome when you play a great venue that takes care of you, and I mean takes care of you on different levels, whether it's from having good equipment, taking care of you on drinks, maybe they offer food and they'll give you a discount or a free meal, et cetera, good sound person. So I know what the good of it looks like the best possible situation that a venue could be taking care of you. And I know also like the worst side of it where you're playing a drum kit that's missing the leg spurs and a floor tom that just falls on the floor or just equipment or engineers with attitudes. Like I've dealt with it all, like I like, at the very least, I think a venue should give you drinks. You're providing entertainment, and so when I go to a venue and I have to pay for drinks, I'm like, "What is this, man?" Like, no shade, I get it, it's a business, everyone operates differently, but yeah, like, I just wanna touch on that. I do my best to make it a fun experience for everyone, and so does the team. They're all there to support, and I'm grateful that we also have volunteers, but everyone knows the protocol. I don't like to work with jerks, on our side. I wanna make sure everyone's treated well, we provide drinks, and we even recently just started ordering pizza because, like, why
Nice.
not? Like, just make it easy. You're in a park, sometimes you don't wanna leave and whatnot, but, yeah, I think, like, a big goal for us is just to make it such a fun experience that not only do the bands wanna come back, but they become advocates and promoters of Showbrain, and that helps
Mhm.
us build the case that, "Hey, we wanna get other artists involved as well. This is a fun time."
Yeah. Can you, give us a rundown of your day, like the day of a show, because I want people to get a perspective of like how much work you're doing it. Like I see you with a freaking U-Haul there, and I see you with like a team of people like
Uh,
carrying stuff. I see you when it's raining out, like putting tarps and bags and like,
yeah.
can you give us a like a real deal rundown? Like give us the nitty-gritty, like what is going on a Showbrain show day?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll tell you the rundown and I'll also explain how we've improved from the past because, I have a pretty small car. So normally I'd have to get like 2 other c like an additional car, involved and coordinate with people to bring equipment. I'm grateful that now I have all the equipment in-house, um, and I've learned to rent a U-Haul. We raise money, so for the most part, it covers itself, which is I'm very grateful for that. But, yeah, I rent the van the night before. I used to rent it the day of, and it was such a headache just trying to get it in the morning and cram everything into the van. So I rented the night before. I slowly just pack the van up. Sometimes if any of my 2 younger brothers are around, because we live close by, I'll hit them up, "Hey, come help me load the van." It's a lot of equipment. Otherwise, I'll listen to, like, a podcast or get on a phone call, and I'm like, "This is therapy. I'm just packing the van." And
Yeah,
it's a
cause
lot.
tell people what you bring. You bring drum set, you
Yeah.
bring 2
Yeah, it's
amps, yeah.
totally, yeah, we bring, like, a whole PA system, so that's 2 subwoofers, 2 main speakers, a full kit, hardware, uh, 2 guitar amps, bass amp, 4 monitors, uh, stands, huge cooler with water, sodas, what else? Tent, we need a tent,
Ta
microphones, XLRs, I'm pretty sure that's everything. Oh, and of course,
tables?
what powers it all, yeah, well, the XLR cables, right, and the power cables,
Uh-huh.
but of course, the batteries, because we don't run off, noisy gas, polluting generators. We have these electric batteries by Jackery. Jackery, please sponsor us.
Come on, come on, come on.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in talks with them. We're gonna hopefully work together, but yeah, that's everything. It's a lot of equipment. It's a lot of equipment. It's like it might not sound like a lot, me listing it out, but when you're packing up the van, you're like, "Not done yet, still so much to go,"
No,
but
it's like a small bed, like, it could, like, fill my room,
it's
you
a
know?
lot, it's a
Yeah,
lot, yeah.
it's a lot.
So, but yeah, rent the van the night before, slowly pack it, either in one shot or just take time here and there to just pack it up. We Also, I guess I forgot to mention we have like tables and accessories, stickers, mailing lists that we have for the shows to just try to get in touch with people and have more outreach that way. But yeah, pack it up over the course of the 24 hours leading up to the show. um, buy ice in the morning for the cooler, for the drinks, coordinate with the team, get there, get the volunteers and crew to unload, make sure that we're ordering food at the right time, the limited catering, and then it's showtime. It all the shows are 4 hours, but it's like it's so much work that goes into it just for those 4 hours, but it's so worth it. Like, I'm always shot at the end of the night, but I'm like, "Yes, another one of these books." But yeah, that's, like, for the most part what it's like. At the end of the day, packing up, it's, like, so daunting. It's like, "Oh, yeah, we gotta do this again." But it's all worth it. It's fun, and again, I'm grateful that, year over year, we've had more people interested and excited about it, and then people reaching out about volunteering and getting involved. So, yeah, we're it's gotten better and better every year in terms of making it more efficient.
Sweet. Well, yeah, and you have to pack up the stuff, put it into the van, and then drive the van to where the equipment goes and unpack it, right?
So the unpacking part, I do that by myself. Thankfully, I have a first floor garage, so it's not too bad. Like I don't have to go up any
Okay.
steps or wheel it in anywhere. But I just take my time with it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a workout. It's like you ever watch that show Nathan Fielder by any chance?
No, I
He
didn't.
has he makes his it's basically a skit show where he convinces people that he has a gym and he has this new workout routine, but it's really just him having people go into homes that need to move out, and he just has people like carrying equipment out of the homes. Like, yeah, this is the new workout. You got to squat and
Yeah.
move the sofa. So I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm working out. It's cool. Yeah,
I feel that way too. I always tell when because a lot of people always wanna help me with my amp because it's a Fender DeVille and it's super heavy,
too
and
bad.
but I'm always like, "No, I want to" yeah, the tube amp. But I'm always like, "I like doing this because it, like, keeps me strong." But everyone's
Yeah,
like, "You're
yeah.
crazy. Why?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, I don't know,
You
maybe in, like,
carry
10
it,
years."
pardon?
I carry it, yeah. I have a cart, but, like, anytime I go to use the cart, it's like I don't know, I feel like I'm destroying the amp because it's just, like, so on the
Right,
gravel, it's like and, like,
right.
actually, this summer, I think I tried to use it, and then my amp the tubes were starting to come out, and, like, I had to go get it serviced, so I'd rather just carry it and then
Yep.
know that it's, like, safe,
Yeah,
and, yeah, that's wild, I didn't even think about the ice. I'm like, "What" you show up, there's, like, a cooler with ice and, like, water, and you're
yeah.
like, "Sweet," and it's like, I didn't even know Ozzy was up at, like, whatever time in the morning
Gotta
going
go
to get
early.
ice.
And then I also have to, like I print out flyers for like, sometimes I have leftover flyers of the show that I've been promoting that's coming up, so or I'll bring those, or I'll go to Staples and print out additional flyers to hand out, I guess, like, the run of the show so people know what's going on today for the new folks. But then I also have to print out flyers of upcoming shows, so I have those there and I have to give those out as well, so it's a whole operation. It's a
It's
lot that goes in.
awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know, that's why I wanted people to hear, like, what's really happening behind the scenes because I have an idea, but it's like when I come, I just have to bring my amp if I feel like playing my own amp. But like you're bringing literally, like, I didn't even know you brought the whole sound system because I thought maybe like Eddie brought it or something. But no, it's you.
yeah.
That's cool. Um, do you during the week, like when you work, is it just your small business that you work, or do you have other jobs you work too?
I have a full-time job, so
Oh, okay.
outside of music, I do IT, so I've been doing that for, like, 8 years, something.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
I accidentally fell into it. It wasn't like I was like, "I'm gonna go to school and become an information technology specialist." It just kinda
Uh-huh,
happened.
uh-huh,
Yeah,
cool. Is
yeah, it
that how
was like
you
hmm?
is that how you help, like, with Showbrain, do you help fund Showbrain with
Oh,
that
yeah,
money from yeah.
yeah. And again, like, year over year, like, I don't make money off these shows at all,
Mm.
but a goal of mine is to break even. Like one day when I'm not spending any of my money, that's gonna be wonderful. And year over year, my spending has decreased, but it's also increased in some ways because I'm trying to improve things here and
Mhm.
there. But I'm happy to say, like, they've been so grateful to have people be enthusiastic with their wallets. So it's been a huge help. And we're also what's it called? A tax deductible charitable organization. So any money that anyone gives it to us, they can write it off.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
but yeah, yeah, my job has allowed me, thankfully, to fund. Showbrain and my side business as well. Otherwise, I don't know how I do it.
If you're feeling enthusiastic with your wallets and with your heart, check out Sorry Cables. They're my favorite cables. I use them when I'm recording this podcast at home. I use them when I'm singing. I use them when I'm playing bass on this theater tour. I use them when I play guitar. I love these cables. I love this company. They're really great people, really super supportive of artists. And yeah, they're based in LA. They're awesome. Thank you, Sorry Cables, for sponsoring today's episode. Check them out, sorrycables.com. Yeah. Yeah, when people give money to Showbrain, like, how do they is it you I know I've seen, like, here and there, like, a little GoFundMe with, like, a very, very, very humble goal of, like,
Yeah,
$500, and I'm like,
yeah,
"Oh, Ozzy, you could probably get more." But, like,
yeah.
is it through little chunks of GoFundMes like that, or is there, like, a running website that people can if they're listening and they're like, "I wanna give this, organization some money," like, how do they do that?
Yeah, there's a couple ways. So on our website, showbrainnyc.org, there's a donate tab in there, and that goes right into our PayPal account. I consistently now have a fundraiser running on Instagram. And yes, you're right. It's a modest like donation goal, but it's just to offset costs.
Mhm.
I'm not like looking to make money off of this. If that happens one day and we get amazing sponsors and corporate brand deals or whatever, amazing. That would be great if I could quit my day job and just do this all the time. But for now, I'm just trying to like uh just build the excitement and get the brand and awareness about Showbrain. So I'm not really looking to make money. I'm just like any money goes right back into the organization, whether it's for artists or gas or whatever. But yeah, so there's those are the two ways to donate. We get on-site donations all the time, which is why I don't make a huge goal. That's another reason why I don't make a huge goal online because people do come on site and donate. Maybe I should make it bigger now that I'm saying it out loud just because why not?
Yeah.
Uh, but, like, I also like the idea, like, it's the shows are free, so I don't wanna say, "Hey, people, give us thousands of dollars." The goal is to get like, either funding from the city or from a brand or from sponsorship, so that's the goal so that hopefully down the road, I don't have to emphasize so much like, "Hey, give us money." If people give us money, that's great, but I don't wanna have to that be a thing on the front of my mind. I want that funding to come in, and it will one day. I'm confident it will. And there's people who've come to me after the show and literally have said, um, like expressed how grateful they were for Showbrain. This one guy at Punk Island who I'll keep him anonymous because he probably doesn't want his name out, but he came to me, he said, I've been coming to your shows uh this year and last year, and it's been so helpful. He went on and on and say to explain to me how it's been uh such a positive thing on his mental well-being. He gave me $500. It was crazy.
Aw.
And then
Wow.
um yeah, and then someone else recently donated $1,000. So it's like, and they come at good times because I'm like, sometimes I put a lot of the expenses on a credit card, like on the business credit card, and I pay it off little by little. But I'm like, when people make these donations, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's great. We're like, there's the first year that I've gone into shows in the green with not owing any money. I was like, this is incredible.
Wow.
So yeah, there's various ways that people can donate, and we're super grateful for it. It helps us bring maximum rock and roll to the masses for free. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll keep going at it.
Yeah. It's super cool, and, like, I don't know, one thing that I wanted to touch on was that, like, I think a lot of bands always wanted to do that, like, play in the park, it's just, like, the coolest thing ever to just I don't know, having your music, like, bouncing off trees and walls and, like, going, like, 3 blocks away or however far it goes, it's, like, the coolest feeling, and, like, even for my boyfriend, Rye, he was
Yep.
like, 10 years ago, he was like, "One day, I just wanna set up in Washington Square Park and just
No
play some, like,
way.
heavy" Yes! He's like, "I just wanna play some, like, heavy music, like, that would be so cool, wouldn't it?" And then, like, you made that happen, like, you're just
So
I don't know,
great.
it's just yeah, so when you had Crusaces play, he was like, his head was just, like, blown away because he was like, "This is, like, the thing," and I think it was literally at Washington Square
Yeah.
Park, I thi yeah,
And we
yeah,
played
so
sets because 2 bands dropped out day of, like, hours before their set because of a protest. So, like, "You wanna play again and close out the show?"
Yeah, yeah, made the dream come true twice.
Yep, that's so crazy. That
Yeah,
was
it's
a
just
fun
so
night.
cool. Yeah, and you filled it you were playing drums, like, you
Yeah,
that's the thing too, like, when we played Punk Island, like, you had that stage at Punk Island, and you had Francie Moon play, and I'm, like, watching this whole thing happen, but then I'm seeing all these just super shredder bands, and then I see you on the side just, like you're, like, watching, and then you're, like, on your phone, like, coordinating like crazy, and
yep.
then you're, like, watching, and then you're, like, and I'm just, like I was just watching you, like, you're just like a bee, like, running around, like, making
Yeah,
sure everything's cool, and I was like,
that was a fun
"Nice."
thing.
Yeah, that was fun. Hot
Yeah,
too. That's
yeah, it was
super
fun.
fun.
I was so grateful to have y'all. That was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that was it's just, like when did you start learning about all the bands? Like, cause I feel like every band you have, I'm like, "Oh, I've played with them here and there." Like, was it a slow thing that you, like, like, within circles? Did you know all about all the bands that you had, or was it, like, you were slowly just learning about them as you were making the shows happen?
So part of it is that last part you mentioned, just kind of as we were doing the shows, I'm learning more about bands and making these connections. But something that there's two big things that were pivotal into uh me that were actually like pivotal for the early success of Showbrain, and one was In Circles, and the second was actually Our Wicked Lady, because In Circles in 2022 we were one of 16 bands that got chosen out of like some over 100 bands to participate in their annual Winter Madness Battle of the Bands. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Nice.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we've made like some lifelong buddies from those events. Like that's how I met Dead Tooth. That's how I met Dan and Shred Flintstone, and a bunch of other bands around that show. Um, and that integrated me into like the Brooklyn scene because I was always in the New York City scene. And I didn't know that many Brooklyn bands, so that helped. Where I made these connections, and then from that, as you know, I started playing with Shred Flintstone eventually. I went on tour with Dead Tooth, and so as I'm able to maneuver and help out other bands for shows, I'm also meeting other bands through that, like playing sharing a bill together. I'm like, huh, this is an interesting band, and then I make the pitch. Hey, so I run this organization, Shortbread, yada yada yada. So, yeah, I think I'm super grateful for the opportunity to play with so many amazing, talented artists, and that in itself is incredible. I'm so blessed for that. But then I take advantage of that by connecting with new artists that we're sharing bills with, or it also helps make the pitch. Like when I'm reaching out to folks and say, like, I've had artists like Francie Moon, Dead Tooth, Gustav, X, Y, and Z. They're like, cool. Who are these? I mean, I know these bands. I would love to do this thing that all these other cool bands are doing. So, as time goes on, the resume gets stronger, and it makes it a little easier to make these connections for other new bands. But yeah, just being part of the scene and playing music with other artists has definitely helped me connect with new artists and meeting new bands at these shows.
Yeah, it's cool because every lineup, I'm like, "Wow, Ozzy did it again." There's, like, another amazing lineup, and I don't know, and some bands I met through you, like, I didn't really know Miranda and the Beat at all, like, until I've heard of
Oh,
them a million times, but I never actually met them until we played that first, like, Halloween time show with them last
which one?
October. It was, like, dark it was,
Yes,
yeah, yeah, we dressed as,
Brandon and the Spark.
vampires.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, like yeah, I'm making friends too, through it.
that's sick. It's
Yeah.
literally community.
What?
It's literally community.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, and that's why it's just, like, so great. Cause yeah, I love that, and thank you is all I really wanted to say for doing that, and do you feel like show brain is something that's, like, bigger than you now? Do you feel like it's because, like, do you feel like if you were reaching out to people and you're like, "Hey, I'm Ozzy, I make shows in the park," do you think people would be as interested if you weren't like, "I have this nonprofit organization," like, do you think that helps the cause? Do you
Yeah,
feel like it's yeah?
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Because even when Showbang was like super new, like it was sometimes hard to make those new connections. But now, like I I, I try to stay humble, but people come up to me like, "Wow, it's amazing what you're doing for the scene." I'm like, And I'm just like thinking like, well, I'm just like trying to have fun, but like, oh yeah, I guess Showbrain is part of the scene. That's right. Like um and like the name on the books is Showbrain Community Incorporation or Incorporated
Oh,
or whatever.
cool.
So it's like, yeah, like it makes sense. Like we're slowly becoming a part of the scene. And I say that humbly. I don't mean it to be like we're this big shot thing, but it's like it's really a wonderful thing. And like you said, you've made friends. I see bands that play Showbrain bills together for the first time and then they go on to play other bills at other venues together. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That happened from that or whatever. Um, but wait, I think I got lost with the question. I think you asked me if it makes it easier to like put these both together under Chopin. 100%. And I'm very grateful for everyone who's involved who's been building up Showbrain, but I have to give a special shout out to Katie, our video person. She puts in a lot of work, even work outside of just being a video like filming and editing. Like she's there. Like I see her putting in the work and helping out. But she's been very pivotal building the resume on our Instagram. All the videos that she's like, I would say like 90% of the videos on there are edited by her, and she makes Showbrain and all the bands look sick. Like, and so people go on the Instagram like, whoa, of course I want to play this show. This is amazing. So yeah, like having Showbrain and having it grow and become more known, more popular has definitely helped with the pitch.
Yeah. Definitely. I was talking with Emily from 95 Bulls in episode 1
Yeah, yeah.
about like how pivotal videographers are to music, and like it's like they should just be another member of the band, because in this day and age it's like you need video of everything, and like the better it looks and the better it sounds, it's like the more people think you're legit or something, they're like, "Oh, that's legit." And, yeah, it's super, super, super helpful to have a
This is
video person in your corner.
yep, yep. A
Yeah,
good one at that. Yeah. Definitely instrumental, but like you need it nowadays, the age of social media.
yeah. I have, another question. What's your cat's name?
Oh, that's Rocky.
Rocky.
He got tired of me not paying attention to him. Rocco. There you go. He's an
Oh,
old
he's
guy.
cool looking. Yeah. And, my other question, do you still play guitar?
Yeah, I play guitar from time to time. Yeah.
Okay,
I,
cool.
I want to get back into it like during the off season to write music because I haven't written anything in a while, but I want to get back into it like
Cool.
more regular. Yeah.
I have a question too about your first tour was in you went to London?
Yeah, I went to
Right.
Europe. It was crazy. Hit
You okay.
Ireland,
Wow.
Amsterdam, all that. Yeah.
Do you feel like that set you up in a way to just, like, have I don't know, I would feel like that would be so wild to have the first tour to be, like, overseas,
I
especially when you
know.
didn't even play the instrument really, like,
I know.
did that give you, like, a confidence boost, or was it just kind of like this giant high that you had that you've been trying to get back the rest of your life?
It definitely gave me confidence because I remember thinking, okay, if I can do this here, I could so do this in the States. Like the currency conversion alone was crazy because I remember the dollar was like way bad when we went. This was many years ago. But I remember thinking like all the logistics and like the cultural stuff that's just different over there, like all the tiny little things uh that you had kind of have to get accustomed to. And I had never been to that country. And I thought to myself, if I can do this here, I can definitely do this in this thing from a cell phone service, right? Whether I forgot whether I had my own phone and I had to get a prepaid. I think I had a prepaid. And then like hotspot wasn't a thing. So being connected was a little tougher back then. Um, I mentioned the currency conversion, just like different cultural behaviors and people were so amazing over there. But I do remember distinctly thinking, if I can do this here, I can do this in the States. So it did give me the confidence I needed. Um,
Okay, cool. Yeah, I, like, could not imagine that. Uh, but it's funny, air drumming is a thing. If you're good at air drumming, I actually one of my old bands, the reason I picked my drummer was because of how he air drummed when I was, like,
right.
jamming on the
Had to
yeah,
put it down to he was like hitting with the
yeah,
kick.
and I was like, "Wow, this is awesome, like, that's gonna sound sick." So
That's so funny. Yeah, that's true. It converts. It makes sense. You
I
got the
think so.
coordination.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, if you're, like, really doing it, it's like, why not, you know?
yeah. That's so funny. What
Yeah.
was the name of your first band?
Well, that band, that was Melissa and Paul, and
Oh,
me and
nice.
Paul, we took a hike up to this, like, fire tower thing, and I just had an acoustic guitar, and then he was just like, like, going crazy, like, he made, like, crazy faces when he played, and it was super fun, but I was like, "Oh, you wanna play a show with me?" And he was like, "I think so."
Sweet. That's
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah, it was really fun. Um Yeah, that's awesome. You're just like, can you talk a little bit about, I know, I hope it's not confusing for everyone because I'm flying around in between drums and guitar and tour and show brain, but like I really want people to just see you as the full person that you are. Um and now I'm forgetting what I was gonna ask you. Oh, when you're filling in constantly for people all the time on drums and you're doing a great job. Like how do you do that? Do you, like, listen to the songs all week, or do you just are you just, like, so natural at, like are you good at just, like, saving it if you, like, kinda mess up or, like
Yeah. So I will something that I've learned about myself is that when it comes to showtime, I have no option and I can't fail. And I usually cram in the songs, like, 2, 3 days before, like, I'll listen to the songs here and there, but then when it's, like, 2, 3 days before the, like, rehearsal, I'm like, "Okay, now I have to sit behind the drums and really practice." I don't know if it's because I'm procrastinating or just that's how my brain operates, but yeah, then I end up getting into the rehearsal studio and, I do okay, but I end up doing much better from my perspective when it comes to showtime. And then I end up doing some stuff. I'm like, whoa, I didn't mean to do that film, but that sounds pretty cool, whatever. And it worked. And I usually get invited back. So I guess I must be doing something right. I'm super, like I said earlier, I'm very grateful for the opportunities and a lot of these opportunities have come because of Showbrain, because I see all these awesome bands and I'm like, hey, if you ever need a drummer, you're in a bind, you need a fill, I'm happy to help. You guys are sick. And that opens up a conversation from there.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people take you up on it because I think, again, they see you, like, in these in these videos on the Showbrain page, it's like, "What? How's he doing that? What? It sounds so good," and, you know? And, yeah, some of your
Yeah,
fills are awesome because when I've seen you fill in for Crusasis, I'm like, "Oh, that's a good fill right there." I'm
shucks.
like, "Wow, why did I think of that? That was a good one."
Thanks.
Yeah.
A cool thing, like, I also like about filling in is, like, I try for the most part, like, I try to keep it true to what the drummer's doing, but a lot of artists have said, "Hey, do your own thing." But I'm like, "Cool, at least I have, like, this reference point to use," and I hear these fills or, like, phrases that drummers do, and I'm like, "I'm gonna do that, but then I'm gonna add a little bit of my own spices to that or whatever." So it's
Yeah.
kinda cool to get these different perspective of, like, different people's playing, and then I take that home with me, and then I have that in my, arsenal of, like, drum stuff, like, in terms of, like, fills or whatever, but yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, no, I can relate with that because, uh, you know, I'd be drumming for Teeter, and then on one record is one drummer, and then, you know, I'll be learning from, like, a song that was in, like, a live show with a different drummer, and then I'm listening to learning another song with another record with another drummer, and it's, like, 3 different flavors of
Yes,
drums, and then
yes,
I kinda, like, soak it all in, and I'm like, "Alright, what am I gonna do?" Like, "Alright, I kinda like that version," and, you know, it's kind of fun because I learn a
yeah,
lot just from, like, hearing 3 different drummers, with the same band, you know, and you're like,
right,
I don't know, it's kinda fun to soak in that
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah, totally, I
but
feel that 100%.
yeah. Um, is there anything you want people to know about Showbrain that we haven't covered at all? Is there anything
As far as maybe telling the viewers and listeners something that maybe wasn't mentioned here, because we did cover a lot, so I'm trying to see if there's anything we missed. I mean,
no pressure.
yeah, I mean, we're literally a DIY organization. We have no extensive backing, and we're just grateful for everyone who's been interested in and showing interest and super grateful for people who are spreading the word. And if you want to help Showbrain, um, even if you can't help financially, just spread the word. Like send our Instagram or website to people who you think might be interested, whether it's bands, listeners, donors, maybe, some people with deep pockets that want to get some tax write-offs, please send them our way. we'll say hello to them and get them some pizza and drinks at the next Showbrain event. Heck, we'll even put them on the guest list.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but that's such a dad joke at
Yeah,
this
yeah,
point. But
yeah.
I think we covered most of everything. Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
think of anything right now off the top of my head.
yeah. Thank you so much for doing this. This was like
Oh,
absolutely amazing to have you and drink coffee with you in the morning.
having yellow to go.
Yeah, cheers. Mm.
Cheers.
All right, that was it. Thank you for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can email me at whatittakes to be a rockstar at gmail.com and check in next week for another episode.